So behind me is the fake border between Georgia and the self-declared breakaway republic of South Ossetia. I'm not sure why, but an ambulance just sped past on the road and it stopped down there. There's a checkpoint down here with stop signs and Georgian flags and some pretty heavy looking bunkers and razor wire. This is not the end of Georgia, but as far as Georgians can go.
I was in Gori, a Georgian city best known as the hometown of Joseph Stalin. I'd arrived here to make a video about the world's most infamous dictator, but I soon discovered that the modern story of Gori is far more complex and perhaps more brutal than the legacy of its most infamous son. Georgia is a divided country. Approximately 20% of its landmass is considered occupied territory. Gori sits just 20 kilometers as the crow flies from the administrative boundary between Georgia and the unrecognized, self-declared breakaway republic of South Ossetia. Under Soviet rule, South Ossetia had autonomy within Georgia, but as the USSR collapsed, tensions exploded. In the 1990s, South Ossetia declared independence. The response from Tbilisi was military, fighting broke out, and a ceasefire was eventually brokered, monitored by a Russian peacekeeping force. That uneasy peace held for almost 2 decades. Then came August 2008.
Now to the fighting between Russia and Georgia over the Georgian breakaway region of South Ossetia. President Bush has told Russian leaders that military action against Georgia is unacceptable. Vice President Cheney said Russia's invasion must not go unanswered.
It's unclear what the spark was. Georgian forces may have tried to retake the region. Ossetian forces may have shelled Georgian villages. Whatever the cause of the fighting, Russia intervened with overwhelming military force, and ethnic Georgians were forced to leave South Ossetia. Within days, Russian forces had occupied Gori, and tanks were heading for Tbilisi. The Russians soon left, but they fortified the administrative boundary between Georgia and South Ossetia, creating a lasting border that exists today. This geopolitical fault line stretches for a staggering 370 kilometers across what the international community considers to be Georgian territory, marked by barbed wire fences and military checkpoints. Ever since the 2008 Russian invasion of Georgia, this line has divided communities and families. This is one of the most dangerous borders in the world. This is a border that Georgians cannot safely cross, a place where Russian and Ossetian security forces are frequently involved in kidnappings and disappearances. In Gori, my guide, Tazo, was one of 192,000 people who were internally displaced during the 2008 conflict. Many, including Tazo, have never returned to their homes. Tazo was just 5 years old when he fled Shkin Valley, the de facto capital of what is now the breakaway Republic of South Ossetia. Perhaps bravely, he agreed to take me north from Gori to the fake border, so I could see for myself what these dashed lines on the map meant on the ground itself.
In case you don't know, so Gori is not far from the border, the fake border. I think it's more appropriate to call it, with the South Ossetian region, which is effectively a kind of breakaway territory. In 2008, most of all of the Georgians, I think, were basically kicked out of their homeland and came to places like Gori or Tbilisi and have never been able to return. And then during the 2008 war with Russia, Gori itself, these streets that we're on now, Stalin Avenue and the main square, and then the town hall where the statue of Stalin is, were all sort of bombed and attacked. And I think Gori was occupied by Russian soldiers. And yeah, it was a short but very brutal conflict.
As we sat in Stalin Park, Tazo gave me a brief history of Georgia's breakaway territories and a glimpse into his own personal story. He explained how the Ossetians are an Iranian-speaking people, descended from the ancient Alans who migrated into the Caucasus centuries ago. Most live in Russia's North Ossetia region, but a smaller community took root here, south of the mountains. For centuries, Ossetians and Georgians lived side by side. Many spoke Ossetian and Georgian. Intermarriage was common, and Tazo believes ethnic conflict only took root under the rule of the Soviet Union. As the USSR unraveled, identity hardened into ideology. Some Ossetians feared Georgian nationalism. Others feared Moscow's manipulation. What followed wasn't a sudden rupture, but a slow unraveling, neighbors becoming strangers, and then enemies. Once South Ossetia had claimed its independence from Georgia, Many Ossetians began seeing Russia as their protector. Some even wanted South Ossetia integrated into the Russian Federation. Conversely, Georgians see Russia as the occupier, and these tensions spilled over in deadly fashion in 2008 when the war began.
Russians came to Gori, they bombed Gori, and they blocked the main highway of Georgia, and they were towarding the Tbilisi.
Right. So in 2008, the Russians invaded Georgia through the highway that comes through Ossetia,
Yes.
and so they came down into Gori.
Yes. The war started in 7th August. The hundreds of people were dead, and more than 1,000 people were injured. And like, it was really hard time. I was a kid, 5 years old, and I was born in Skinwali, and we had a village, Zemo Artsevi, in Skinwali region.
Yeah.
Grew up there. We had my grandparents' house was there, and we had to leave the place. First we moved to Gori, and then when it became really dangerous, our family moved to Tbilisi. There was shelters in schools.
Like bomb shelters.
Not bomb shelters. Georgia was not ready for the war that much.
Right.
So we were just in the random schools, public schools in Tbilisi. And I remember that time kind of blurry, but I still remember. I remember people before the war started in Tsinwali region, in South Ossetia. Ossetian people, I remember with my own eyes, Ossetians with these guns, this AK-47 on there, like this. I remember, I have this picture in my memory. I have this picture once. There was the one person who came to my grandpa with the gun once, Ossetian, and this was really tense. Just want to show you the everyday life perspective of living in Trinwali region as the native person on your land.
So your family were living in the Skin Valley region until 2008?
Yes, my grandparents. We had a place in Gori also.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really harsh time.
Yeah.
My grandpa was really sad about it. He was car mechanic. He passed away actually recently. He was car mechanic, and this is interesting. He still managed to. So this was in 2008. These Georgians were ethnically removed from Chinwali region. Yeah. My grandpa was one of the person who could go back. Actually,
really?
He was living there after the war. Everybody was so impressed how he managed that. He had some connections with Ossetians because he was a car mechanic, and he was making cars for people for Ossetians, and he was living there. He just wanted to live there.
Yeah.
He couldn't stay here. Just going there in our house. Yeah, our house still stands there. It's not destroyed, thanks God.
So the house is still
There, yes.
Still there.
I've heard that. It's still there.
Apart from your granddad, has anyone from your family ever been back to?
No, that's
Just
really
Skin Valley?
dangerous. That's really dangerous
You
thing.
can't.
You can't go
There's
there.
no way to visit, or
No way to visit. No
Oh.
way. You can. It's nobody will let you go there.
right. You can't try and get like a permit or permission or anything.
Nothing.
There's
Nothing.
No chance.
Georgians, no chance.
Oh wow.
No chance. My grandpa managed it really well.
Yeah. But no one else.
Maybe some 10 people maximum who could go
Right.
back. But it was still dangerous. Some people were captured by military of Ossetians by Russians. So it's really hard part of the Georgian modern history.
Yeah.
The war was going for 8 days, started in 7th of August, and it was really harsh time. So now we can head to Gori fortress,
Yeah.
and let's see how close
Ossetia,
Ossetia is.
Yeah. Ah, there we go. Thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate it. So we're just on top of Gori Fortress, and we're just going to head to the viewpoint and see just how far we can see across Georgia.
So that side we see the mountains of Caucasus, Greater Caucasus, and just that side the houses near the mountains, Skin Valley region.
Skin Valley region. So
Yeah.
you don't call it South Ossetia? I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah, we don't.
You wouldn't say South Ossetia.
No.
You call it Skin Valley region.
But actually, some people love to call it Samachablo.
Samacheblo.
Yes, but I think more correct term is Skin Valley region.
So Skin Valley region is before the mountains.
Yeah, over there to the north.
How many
yeah,
kilometers?
20 here.
20 kilometers.
20, 15.
Yeah, so Skin Valley is 20 kilometers away. So wow. So this is the way the Russians came in 2008.
The road is another way. You cannot see from here.
Okay, yeah.
There is rock tunnel, we call it, rock squid.
Yeah.
They came from here. There were Russian tanks in the city. They were bombing the city.
Oh, wow.
It was really hard time. Always when I think about Russian-Ukrainian war, in Georgia it lasted for just 7-8 days.
Yeah.
And it's crazy what is happening in Ukraine and how they feel. It's trauma for Georgian people. It's trauma. They hate Russians so much after this time, and I just can't imagine what is going on in the Ukraine. How they feel.
How they're still surviving as well. How many years they've been fighting the Russians. And, From here, we're going to head
to Ergneti.
Ergneti. So Ergneti is over this way, right?
Yes.
So we're going to head north towards the fake border
Yes.
with Ossetia.
The war museum we are going to, it's like 1 kilometer away from this fake border.
Oh, from the border itself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So,
All right.
let's go.
Let's go. All right, so we're at the Marshrutka station, and we're going to hop on a bus, hopefully. We can find one, and head on up towards the border. All right, we're still trying to find the bus to Igneti. Just done a loop around. Hopefully one of these guys is going there. We'll find out. Yeah? Yeah. All right, we found a Marshrutka to Ergneti. Just waiting for it to fill up at the moment, and in the meantime, trying some traditional Ossetian style khachapuri, which has got cheese and potato in. We're trying a little bit of the local cuisine. It's good khachapuri.
The Marshrutka took us north along lonely roads to the border town of Ergneti, where until 2008 a vast dark bazaar, a black market where goods were traded between Georgians and Ossetians, existed under the blind eye of customs officials. This dark market once brought Georgians and Ossetians together, but the trade was severed abruptly by the war. These same roads brought Russian tanks and displaced Georgians south to Gori, and many of those IDPs have never returned home. The border itself is not only uncrossable, but dangerous. A few weeks before my visit, 2 Georgian citizens were detained by Russian security forces near the border. In 2023, a Georgian man was shot dead on the border. There are countless incidents, but still, people continue to live in villages along the boundary line, where barbed wire fences often cut through back gardens. We were going to meet a Georgian lady named Leia, who lives just meters from South Ossetia. Leia has heroically established a makeshift war museum, telling not only the conflict story, but exploring a process named borderization, whereby Russian and South Ossetian security forces are slowly moving the border itself, inch by inch, deeper into Georgian territory.
So is that Shkin?
Yes, that way.
Oh, that is the city. Oh wow. So behind me is the fake border between Georgia and Ossetia. All right, so we made it about 20 kilometers up the road from Gori, and we're just following the main highway towards South Ossetia, and this is pretty much as far as you can go. So the road just kind of, well, the road itself continues, but there's a checkpoint down here with stop signs and Georgian flags and some pretty heavy looking bunkers and razor wire. So this is as far as you can go basically. This is not the end of Georgia, but as far as Georgians can go. And beyond this is South Ossetia, the self-declared breakaway republic, which is technically, of course, still part of Georgia. And in the distance, you can see the capital, or the main city of Shkin Valley, which is incredibly close, a lot closer than I imagined it was actually to the border. We're not 100% sure where exactly the border runs. I'm guessing it's sort of along here, not far away. Since 2008, you haven't been
Never.
to Shkin Valley.
Never.
That's crazy.
I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, you just see it.
This is as close as you can get now, basically, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So there's no way you can go through the checkpoint, or you can't get like a visa. There's no visa situation or
No.
permissions or anything like that.
It's not safe. Some people are going there actually, but it's not safe for Georgians
Right.
because they ethnically cleaned
Oh, they ethnically cleansed.
the place
Yeah.
of Georgians from their homeland.
Yeah.
So we see Skrimali from here, and this is the military checkpoint
Yeah.
of Georgia.
Police car coming. This is as close as Georgians can really get to visiting self-proclaimed breakaway territory of South Ossetia. No closer than this checkpoint here. And then it's such a peaceful place though. It's surrounded by vineyards and forests and farmyard. So yeah, just along from the checkpoint, there should be a museum, like a kind of small war museum in the village. I'm just going to go see if it's open.
Gamarjoba. Muzeum quite interesting.
All right, so we come into Leah's garden right on the border with Ossetia, and she set up a little museum to the war, literally in her house. So she's invited us in.
It's journalist
Could she tell us her story?
Museum was opened in 2017.
Yeah.
This is how this house was looking like after 2008.
Oh, this house we're in now?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
After 2008. So she came back here on 19th August.
Yeah.
And they burnt the house with the Molotov cocktail.
Oh, wow.
And they threw these bombs.
So during the war, she left and went to
Came back.
the same as your family, and then
Yes, and came back on 19th August.
19th of August.
My village is still occupied.
Yeah.
ელინეთი ძალიან ახლოს არის ცხინვალიდან.
In every way, economically, culturally, and with electric sources, in every way, this village Ergneti was connected to Tskhinvali. So Tskhinvali was like a center.
Yeah.
And after the
15
war,
წუთის ფეხით არის სამალი ქალაქის ცენტრამდე რომ მივიდე.
yes, just 15 minutes by walking, you're already
Yeah.
in Tskhinvali center, and it's 1.5 kilometers. And after the war, the village became like it was already a really hard situation because it has no water, no electricity.
Yeah.
Everything was come from Tskhinvali, and the hard period started for them. And the village Ergneti was one of the first which was destroyed by the occupants.
So the entire village was destroyed, not just this house.
So they burnt 160 houses here,
wow.
and they killed the people. They burnt one of her neighbor in his own house.
ეს ახალი საზღვრები და დღესაც ესეც ნახეთ.
She thinks the war is not ended because they are moving this border toward Georgia, and like complete every day. And these are the new
Every day?
borders about 1-2 years ago that they made.
Yeah.
And
So
they're occupying step by step.
So
more
they're
and
slowly
more.
moving the border,
Exactly.
like literally day by day. So they'll pick up the fence posts and
Yes, that's what
move them.
she's saying.
Oh, wow. And she's seen this. She's seen them do this, and she's met. She can see the change.
She's saying that she has seen everything by her eyes, and she's also noticing the changes like time by time that they are moving the borders to Georgia, and now
Right.
the occupation line is already 350 kilometers, and this is
350 kilometers.
350 kilometers.
As in the entire length of the border
Yes,
is
yes.
350 kilometers.
South Ossetia kilometri.
აი პერიმეტრი არის 350 კილომეტრზე აქ გაკეთებული ეს ბორდერიზაცია.
Perimeter. It's a perimeter.
Okay, and the perimeter is just over here, right? According to Google Maps.
ხო, აქვეა ხო ის.
კი,
Yeah. Has she seen that change towards her house or anything, or is it?
Სახლისკენ თუ გადმოუწევია თქო. Not in this village, but in other villages, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For example, they did it massively in 2013. So very recently, they occupied like fields for the natives, where, for example, natives cow was eating the grass. So
Right.
so these kind of areas really recently they occupied, and they're claiming that it's their territory and we are living on their territory. And this is really recent thing. So she's saying it's 26 villages that is bordering this de facto border here, and in Kirbali there was a person surnamed Ginturi, which was killed lately because he went to the church in his village, and Russians closed it down before, and he saw the closed church and just broke the door and went in. When he went outside, they killed him.
Really? When did this happen? Recently?
It's 1 year.
1 year ago. Oh, wow.
It's 1 year ago, and she was saying that Georgian government did not have any comment on this fact.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And are the Georgian government doing anything to stop this border that's being moved, or is there anything they can do, or is it a situation where they're kind of a bit powerless?
They do not do anything. Actually, they do
Nothing.
not make comments. For example, I have not heard any comments from them about this Kinturi situation or their borderization. It's really sad.
It's very sad, yeah.
She's saying. it's against us. These politics are against us. They're still moving the borders. This is the
Yeah.
thing.
And has she ever been on the other side of the border since 2008, or is it just too dangerous? Or
2008 წლის შემდეგ იქით თუ გადასულხათ და
no?
No.
No. Can you ask her what's it like then living somewhere like this where you're so close to somewhere you could have been, you did go before, but now you cannot?
She's saying it's really hard because she was born in Skinwali. She was born in Skinwali, and she says she always want to go. Her two houses are there in Skinwali. There is his father's grave, but she cannot go because they will arrest her. And it's really hard situation. She feels really bad, like in everyday life. And for her, the war is not ended because she never knows what will happen if, for example, political situation gets tense between Russia and Georgia. Anything can happen because it's just 10 meters from the border.
Leah's story was extraordinary. After surviving the 2008 invasion of Georgia, she heroically returned to her home, only to find a hard border built along the back of her garden. But Leah doesn't want to forget. As she guided us through her museum, she told us the often heartbreaking stories of her neighbours, many of whom were killed in their houses or while trying to escape. Many more of her neighbours were injured or traumatized. Leah has collected their stories, their photographs, artworks, paintings, and fragments of the war itself to remember.
This place is filled with these small people's stories. This lady, for example, was thrown to the fire to burn. So occupants tried to burn her, but one of them decided to save her, and she lost her mind. So the memory, amnesia, and she could not. So she couldn't remember anything, even her name. And
Complete
she survived.
memory loss.
She survived. She had. She was burnt. She survived, but she was also really traumatized. That's why she was.
Does she think that this fake border will always be here, or is there a chance that it could one day? Is there some positivity you can take from?
მე ვარ გამოსწორებელი ოპტიმისტი.
She says that she is optimistic in general, optimistic person, and she thinks that these borders will be removed one day and she will go back home for sure. She is confident about that. So hope her belief will happen. What
Hopefully,
Hopefully,
I hope so.
It will open again, and
one day. This must be tough for you as well.
Yeah. Actually, I knew what we are going to the museum, of course, but I was trying to be ready for that psychologically, but it hits really hard for Georgian to actually come to the border and see the people, to see this lady, for example, who have seen it with their own eyes and still feeling.
And still lives around it.
Yes. Wine never dies.
Wine never dies. So these Queveries were here in the farmhouse before the war as well, and they survived.
Yeah, they survived.
It's amazing. Do they still make wine with them, or is it?
No, it's a souvenir.
So, an emotional museum. So, could you say that I think she's done an amazing job preserving this, and then having the courage as well to live here as still, and to show people around and to tell her story.
She was saying that her husband died in one of the first military like the war. So the war started here actually not massively, but were started here in 1991. It was till 1992, so this is when her husband died.
Oh, really?
Initially, and she's still here.
She's still living here. Yeah. So there's been more than one war as well. Tell her I'm very sorry that her husband died. But it's difficult. It's a difficult place to live, I think. So we're just in Leah's garden. So this is where the museum is. It's just literally in the basement. But when she told us her story, she said that in 2008, when the war happened, her house was destroyed. It was burned down by the Russians and the Ossetians. And then when they returned, a Danish NGO built this temporary house here that you can see behind me in the garden, just meant to be lived in short term. They actually ended up living in this little house, this little building for 7 years, at least 4 of them, until they had the funds to rebuild the house that you can now see behind me here, and the garden as well. So yeah, it's an incredible story, really. And now she's preserved much of the sort of the relics of the war that they found, and a lot of the collected artworks and photographs, etc. And it's just incredible, really, because this location, where only I think the border is it's not far. It's a couple of 100 meters across that way. She was like, "Don't go there. It's not safe." Apparently, it's watched constantly by both sides, and you trigger alarms or be caught on camera, and it's just not a safe place to be. But considering the volatility of that border that she was saying as well, it's moving as well, inch by inch every year towards us. It's such a peaceful setting. It's unimaginably peaceful here. It's quiet. There's birdsong, and Leah and Tazo are just chatting on the front porch. It could be anywhere, but Ossetia is over there, and they can't get there. They can't cross. But as well, Leah was saying that she's trying to find funding. Part of the museum was initially funded by USAID, and a lot of it has been sort of crowdsourced as well. And what she really wants to do is get an audio guide, because she doesn't speak English. So without Tazo being here, we would probably not have been able to communicate very well, except perhaps through Google Translate. So she's hoping to set up a system where she can just provide audio guides to visitors that come here and want to learn more about the war and the occupation of Ossetia. But to do that, she needs some money. She has approached USAID for funding, but given the current political situation at the US and the funding cuts for USAID, she says that wasn't possible. So if anyone out there has any ideas as to how we can find some funding, she said maybe 20,000 gel to set up some sort of audio guide system, then yeah, let me know. So guys, this is the amazing Leah, and she runs the museum just outside of Gori. So just a short ride on the marshrutka from Gori, you'll get to Unknowingly, right on the fake border. And here you can meet the lovely Leah and learn about what's happened here. And hopefully there'll be a positive outcome in the future. But we'll see.
Madloba.
Cool. Madloba and bye-bye.
Madloba.
Well, so this is the museum, and then out the front is this old car here, and there was a picture of this in the museum, but I'm not sure if you can see, but you can still see the bullet holes from the 2008 war, and they've left it here as like a little memento. Huh. I'm not sure why, but an ambulance just sped past on the road and then stopped down there. It's as far as the ambulance can go as well. Okay, so it's an incredibly powerful museum that I'd highly recommend you visit if you're interested in learning more about the conflicts in Georgia it's yeah, I mean, hats off to Tazo for bringing me here, because he is originally from Skin Valley and he hasn't been back there in years. And then Leah as well has never been able to cross that border since 2008. So coming here to a place like this really brings home the divisions that, you know, borders, even fake borders like this, create across the world, and the conflicts that they can ignite. And yeah, we're just heading back to Gori now. We've got to rush because there's a Mashruka leaving. But yeah, it's a powerful place to come to understand more about the contemporary politics of what's happening in Georgia and what's been going on for the last 30 years since the fall of the Soviet Union. So yeah, I really hope one day, perhaps a few years or a few decades, probably a few decades if it happens, that this road behind me that we're walking down will be open, and perhaps one day you can visit Skin Valley from Georgia once more. So this is the Mashruka stop, just a 5-minute walk down from the checkpoint. You don't really know when they leave. Maybe every 2 hours or so. But yeah, once you're here, hang around and you'll get back to Gori eventually.
It's important to remember that it's not only Georgians that suffered. Of the almost 200,000 people displaced by the 2008 war, some 70,000 were Ossetians. Skin Valley was bombed and shelled, and it's still unclear who fired the first shots. Despite their declaration of independence, South Ossetia's sovereignty has only ever been recognized by 5 UN nations: Russia, Venezuela, Syria, Nicaragua, and Nauru. The rest of the international community views South Ossetia as sovereign Georgian territory under occupation. South Ossetians exist in a closed-off, shadowy state, only accessible through Russia. The only winner in this conflict is Putin, who has divided Georgia and destabilized the country on his doorstep. While Leah and Tazo were ever optimistic that the border would one day come down, the reality right now is more complex, as a process of borderization moves the administrative boundary inch by inch deeper into Georgian territory. As we took the bus back to Gori, though, I was left not with these geopolitical ponderings, but with thoughts of the human cost of such borders, of the divided communities, the lives this border continues to take. It is the communities here who live with the border in their backyard that suffer the most, and these communities are often home to the people that have the most in common with those on the other side of the dividing line.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is the memorial
This is
of Georgian soldiers. It was put in Tbilisi first in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then they moved it to here. 9 soldiers. The symbols of Georgian soldiers who always fought for their country. And it's what I wanted to say is that Georgia always had hard time. In ancient time, Persians, Arabs since 7th century, Seljuk Turks, Mongolians, Ottomans, also another dynasty of Iran, Russian Empire, Soviet Union, still have an enemy Russia, and so many other enemies that I have not mentioned. So Georgian people are considered the fighters, the brave fighters who fought for their land. And religion, Christianity, played a crucial role in that we are still independent country for nowadays, like Georgia.
So yeah, these are the Georgian fighters and warriors from throughout history. Because Georgia has always been a land at a crossroads, at a place that's long been invaded. Tazo here from Budget Georgia has been an amazing guide, showing me around Gori and then up to the border. So thank you, Tazo. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I was not ready for this question, sorry.
Amazing.
So, have a nice journey in Georgia and hopefully you'll come back again.
Yes. If you're in Georgia, book.
Tazo's tours, Budget George's tours.
Okay.
Brilliant. Madlova.
Karga.
Thank you so much.